Welcome to the Hired Hub podcast, your ultimate guide to mastering the complexities of remote work and pushing your career forward.
Whether you're tuning in from the busy streets of Latin America or any corner of the globe, we're here to give you tools and insights to succeed in today's dynamic job market. I'm your host, Gabby Morales.
And I am your co-host, Jess Torres. If you're a recent graduate eager to leave your mark or a seasoned pro looking to redirect your career, you can join us as we explore the endless possibilities of remote work and career growth.
Get ready to unlock your full potential with the Hired Hub podcast. Have you ever wondered whether freelancing offers more freedom than a full-time remote job? Or maybe you're torn between the stability of a steady paycheck and the flexibility to set your own hours. If so, you're not alone.
As remote work becomes the new norm, more professionals are asking, what's the best path forward? In today's episodes, we're diving into the big question, freelancing versus full-time remote. What's the best for you?
We'll be breaking down the pros and cons of both freelancing and full-time remote work and sharing some real-world insights to help you decide which might be the best fit for your career and lifestyle.
As you listen, think about your own situation. Are you leaning toward the flexibility of freelancing, or does the stability of a full-time remote job appeal more to you? Okay, so let's dive in and figure it out together. So we wanted to talk about all of this freelancing versus full-time job because I know a lot of people can have a lot of questions regarding this topic. So, Gabby, how can someone decide between freelancing and full-time remote job? What factors would you consider or will they have to consider?
Yeah. Well, looking at my own perspective, I'm a very anxious person and I need to always be balancing the pros and cons of something. So when it came in my situation, when it came in my experience to decide to hop into freelancing, I first evaluated some pros and cons of it. First of all, I evaluated the financial stability aspect of it. Freelancing, it can really be unpredictable. And it doesn't regularly offer other benefits than the salary, like the compensation, like the monetary compensation that you get from it. So I think that you need to factor that in because in comparison to the full-time remote job where you have a steady paycheck with benefits like insurance and retirement plans, you need to plan that for yourself when you're thinking of freelancing. Like if you are completely independent, you have to make sure that your income, is enough, even if it's unpredictable, if it's enough to cover all your expenses, that you're able to cover insurance if you need it, depending on where you live, because there are countries that, insurance and health is so expensive. So you need to consider that. And then any other benefits, like if you're young and you're still living with your parents or you're still living with friends and you can benefit from having like dual or several incomes in your household, I think freelancing is a really good opportunity, even if it's unpredictable, because it offers you a lot of flexibility. But like if the demand of your income is strict and it's high, then I get it if you're more hesitant about that. Something else that I also factor in when I considered changing into freelancing was the flexibility of it. Like for me, the hardest part of work, of going out to work, is commuting. Historically, I've always worked very far away from where I live, so commuting has always been hard for me. And it's been long and it's extenuating. And then you say, okay, but I can commute 45 minutes a day to go to work. And then you consider that's not only the 45 minutes that it takes to go to work, but actually the 45 minutes that it takes to come back from work. And then all the work that it takes in between to getting prepared for work and everything. So flexibility is something that you also have to consider. There's a lot of people that really benefit from working at their homes. And then there's people that can't adapt to it. Like they can't get used to the dynamic of not seeing people every day, of not socializing. So I feel like that's also something that you need to consider. Career growth can also be very unpredictable and there can be a lot of uncertainty. Like if you're a person that's like goal driven, that you want to be acknowledged for your work, that you want to follow a set career path instead of having to determine that for yourself, maybe freelancing is not the best for you, because you're going to have to make a lot of calls on your own. And it can be very rewarding. But if that's not what you're used to, or if that's not what you want, then it's not the best option for you. I also considered a lot the work-life balance. And it's not to say that a full-time remote work doesn't give you that, because it actually allows you to have predictable hours, and it's easier to separate your work from your personal life. Whereas freelancing, it can get a little bit tricky. Like, having the flexibility of working at your own times, of working from home, like it can get really tricky to know how to separate one thing from the other. So if you're not like, if you don't have like that self-discipline to separate one thing from the other, it can get really tricky with freelancing. And it regardless, it's a learning curve. Even if you are aware of that, when you hop into freelance, it's going to be a learning curve. It's going to take time. Like for me, I've been working freelance for almost 5 years, and I still can't, every time that I have visits, like visitors in my house, like someone staying over and they're not working while I'm working, I lose my focus completely. So like you have to acknowledge that freelancing requires a lot of self-discipline. It requires for you to be self-organized, to know how to prioritize activities, to know how to separate, work from life. And, when you're using your living room as an office and when you're using your living room as an entertainment space, like it's tough. It's tough. And I wouldn't say that it gets easier. Like it solves with time. It does get easier with time, but it doesn't disappear. Every time that you're working from home, you have like the temptation that your sofa is just like a couple of meters from you, that your bed is just right there. Like you could take a nap before your next meeting.
Yeah, or your family talking to you.
Yeah, or your family or friends who are over, they don't understand that difference. Also, it gets tricky too. So the work-life balance aspect, I feel like it might be more of the complicated aspects of deciding to jump into freelance, rather than if you're at work, it's easier to get into the work mentality because you're in your workspace. And then what else would I say? Like, I would also consider the aspect of teamwork, because freelancing, a lot of times you're going to feel alone. It's not like you have your teammate, your coworker there. And something that happens to me, which again, I suffer from ADHD. Like if I don't have someone there to mirror what I'm doing, it's harder for me to do it. Like if I have someone else beside me that's working also.
Yeah.
And that's the other side of it. That's the other side of the coin of having company. Like when you are in a workspace and other people are working, you're more prone to also work, to mirror what they're doing and actually work also. Whereas when you're working alone, if you're lacking motivation and you're alone, you're going to feel isolated. It's easier to feel isolated from the work that you're doing, even if there's a teamwork in the process. Like even if you are working for a project where several people have to do several other things and you have to collaborate with them, the moment that you're not meeting constantly with them, that you don't have direct contact with them, that can feel very isolating, and it can be very demotivation. Like it can lead to demotivation, which is really hard to manage in a in this environment where you're working alone. So I would also consider that. And then I don't know, I think I would close off with the administrative responsibilities. When you're freelancing, you handle your own contracts and your own invoicing and taxes. Whereas when you're working full time, when you're working for someone else, Usually the employer, when you are working for a formal company, they handle the administrative tasks, like all that. And then also like the part of maybe insurance or taxes or anything that's related to work, to health, like they manage that. And then when you're working alone, you have to manage that for yourself. So I think that with time, like if you're young, that may seem like a con. Like you may see it like it's not so attractive. But while you get older and more experienced, you notice that you can manage those activities on your own. And actually, freelancing can be more attractive in that sense, because if you know your worth and you already know and you've already established your own dynamic and you can separate work from personal life and everything, I feel like freelancing gets a lot easier with time. Whereas working for a company can become a little bit restricting with time. So in conclusion, I would say you should choose freelancing if you value flexibility and independence and you can handle the risks of those administrative duties. And then you should opt for, full-time remote if you prefer stability, career growth, and teamwork. You have to consider the financial needs, lifestyle, and career goals when making that decision overall. Like in my opinion, you can just like plunge into it and see how it works. Like I don't know.
That can also work.
I mean, there's people that do it. Like I always admire people that just go through life like with this, I wouldn't say delusional confidence, but I would say like just steady confidence. Yeah, with this positive mindset, like, I just have to start doing it and then it'll work out in the process. I really admire that. I'm the type of person that I really feel more comfortable when I plan things and when I think things through. So it definitely varies. But for you, Jess, like, are there certain personality traits or skills that makes someone more suited for freelancing or for full-time work? What do you think?
Yes, definitely. I think I'm a little bit the opposite from you. Like I can go with the flow easily a little bit more just because like, I don't know, probably I'm the second children of the family. That seems like you can compare that sometimes, not all the time, but my brother, it's the responsible one. It's not that I'm not responsible, but I play more with things, like I'm a little bit more relaxed, we'll say. But yeah, freelancing definitely depends on personality too. And I think it depends on the skills that can make someone more suited for freelancing or just a full-time remote work. And I made two comparisons. So first, for freelancing people, I think what we've been talking about is just about self-motivation. Like freelancers in general need to be highly self-driven, just as they manage their own schedules and work without direct supervision. And having someone to tell you what to do could be easy, but then you have the responsibility of organizing your schedule. Like I have to do A, B, C, and then realize which one is more important than the other one and which one should I start with, It's like you will get to know yourself better and then have a little bit more of discipline, what we've been talking about. Also, the entrepreneurial spirit, I think that's something that motivates you. Like those who enjoy building their own business, finding clients, and just handling all aspects of their work thrive. Like in freelancing, I love entrepreneurial things. I'm a person that if I want to achieve something, I find my way of doing it in something that passionates me. Like if there's probably a brand that I want to work with, I just offer them my portfolio or just my services so that if they like that, they can work with me. And I think also adaptability, it's really important because freelancers often just go through multiple projects and clients and just require flexibility and just quick problem solving skills. It's not that easy just to, as we were talking, like you have your boss to tell you what to do. But then as a freelance, you have a little bit more of like that flexibility. So, and that's another one. I think it's risk to tolerance. Comfort with uncertainty and fluctuating income is essential for freelancers. Like also like this risk of tolerance makes me feel or just think about like not taking things personal, because you get to handle a lot of different clients, and then you don't know how this client will react to something, but then you know that the other client will react a little bit different. So I think that's really important. And for a full-time remote work, I think discipline, because you have to get ready. You have to wake up earlier to get to that place. You have to probably, if you need to do your lunch the night before, or wake up really early to do your lunch, because we know that just buying things outside could be expensive. So I think that's a part of discipline. Also, just sticking to this routine and just staying productive within this structured environment, like being all the day in the office and working. And that could be something that you will need for a full-time remote work. Also, I think team collaboration, I think, is for both of those, but just being able to work well with a team, even when not physically present, it's crucial in a remote work, but especially for like a full-time job. Like you have to be in constant communication with your team. I think full-time remote workers should definitely be dependable, constantly meeting deadlines and just maintaining communication with their team. I think just that's really important, the feedback that you get from them. And focus. I think it's really important for both of them. But as we were talking, freelancing gives you a little bit more of like flexible timing and schedules. And for a full-time job, you will definitely need to be really focused and concentrate on the tasks that you need to give. And I think that's a really good skill for you to try to handle and just keep working on, is being focused and concentrating in just those tasks. So if you're independent, adaptable, and just enjoy managing your own business, freelancing might be the best fit for you. But if from the other side, you're a person that needs more stability, collaboration, structure, a full-time remote work, or just a job will be more suitable for you.
Absolutely. I agree.
So Gabby, talking about all of these experiences, do you probably have in mind, or what could you share of like a success story where your freelancing provided unexpected opportunities, or just a scenario where your full-time remote work just offered you unique advantages?
Something that hasn't been actually unexpected. It's actually something that I've expected a lot from working freelance, from working remotely, actually, is being able to travel and to move from one place to another, and that not affecting the way that I work and the way that I deliver things. Like I've come to a point where I can be in a meeting while I'm in a bus traveling to a fun place for the weekend. So and that's been really rewarding. It's really liberating, because again, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do well my job. Like if I have those features that you mentioned previously, like if I can self-motivate, if I have that spirit to start things on my own, if I can adapt, if I am tolerant to risks and to changes, like I can definitely still deliver while being able to travel. So that's something that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah. And do the things that you love. Do the things, you don't have to stop doing things that you love. That's something that we can value from these kind of jobs.
Absolutely. And then, but honestly, something that would rescue from working full-time in a presential job is the social aspect of it. Like we've talked about this before, that working alone can really take a toll on your mental well-being. Like we are gregarious creatures, like we like to socialize. And even if you say you don't like it, you need it. You need that communication.
Yeah.
You need that contact with real people. And it's not like people that you interact virtually are not real people, but like face to face. Like you need that kind of interaction, because if not, like staying all the time at home, it can really be challenging. It can really represent it can really take a toll on your emotional well-being. So you have to like look at the pros and cons. Like if you're a very social person and you think that you need that on a regular basis, maybe freelancing is not the best work for you, because it's really going to be challenging in that aspect. But if you can sort of balance out that social need that you have by, you know, being also proactive and socializing outside of work and traveling and, you know, still being able to share your time with other people, I think that it can definitely work for you. So I guess, like, again, like we've been talking throughout all the conversation, every, like both freelancing and full-time presential jobs have like their pros and cons. You just need to see what fits best for you, I would say. You know, and just like going a little bit more into this conversation, like what trends, Jess, do you see that are in demand for freelancers versus full-time remote workers? Do you think like there's something that's more popular for one area than to the other nowadays?
Yeah, for example, investigating, I found out that just freelancing trend, for example, like growing gig economy, the gig economy, it's expanding a lot. Like with more companies hiring freelancers for specific jobs or projects. And I think this trend, it's actually driven by the need of specific flexibility for people. Yeah, it's just like the need of flexibility and specialized skills. Like people nowadays sometimes don't want to fulfill a full career, or they just want to change a career and start studying, I don't know, marketing. And some companies are just taking advantage of this. Also, tech and creative roles are having like a high demand and continuous for freelancers in tech, like digital marketing, graphic design, just content creation, and just other creative fields. This is a really, really huge demand and trend. Also, like global talent pool. Companies are increasingly sourcing freelance talent globally, taking advantage of diverse skill sets and lower costs in different regions. We know that it's really cheap or cheaper than normal, just not to have a normal office. This for freelancing trends. For a full-time remote work, we found out that remote first companies, many companies are adopting to remote first models, offering a full-time remote position just standard. And it depends on what we were saying, like what skills do you have? Just talent retention. Companies are prioritizing remote work options to retain employees who have value and flexibility, leading to a steady demand for full-time remote workers. So, like for instance, this huge company, it's losing their talent, you know, and they are implementing this kind of work for them to work remotely, but it's still a full-time job. So this demand for both like freelancers and full-time remote workers, it's really strong. Just with freelancing thriving in specialized project-based roles and just full-time remote work becoming a standard in many industries, just companies are adapting to these trends by just offering more flexible work arrangements to attract and retain talent. But yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit about that and make this episode a little bit shorter. And we have some insights to share with you.
We recently ran a poll asking our community about their preferred work style. The results are in, and they reveal some interesting trends.
So 66% of the poll of people who voted prefer full-time remote work, indicating a really strong inclination towards stability and just a constant income. 23% is a mix of both, suggesting that significantly portion of people appreciate the flexibility of freelancing. 9% freelancing, especially highlighting this, it's a smaller group, which got me a little bit surprised. Because I think I'm surrounded with more people that prefer freelancing, but it's okay. And 2% of the people picked undecided. So these were the results.
So after everything we've talked about, Jess, like, what's your take? Do you think freelancing flexibility outweighs the steady paycheck of a full-time remote job, or is having that stability still key?
It's a tough call, Gabby. I think it really depends on where you are in life and in career in general. But I hope that we've given you, or listeners, some solid food for a thought.
Yep, definitely. And we'd love to hear what you all think. Are you more drawn to the freedom of freelancing, or do you prefer the consistency of a full-time role? Let us know on our social media.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hired Hub. And whether you're leaning toward freelancer or just a full-time job, the best choice is the one that aligns with your goals and lifestyle. Until next time, and keep exploring and finding out your fit.
Remember, this is Gabby.
And this was Jess. Bye-bye.
That wraps another episode of the Hired Hub podcast. We hope you found today's discussion empowering and insightful. Remember, success in the world of remote work is within your reach, and we're here to support you every step of the way.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert advice and engaging conversations. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help us reach more people who can benefit from the Hired Hub podcast.